Sophie Mokoena, our political editor, to get up on the line, but in the meantime we can show you live scenes from the streets of Zimbabwe just minutes after this news ripples across the nation. Confirmation, official confirmation that President Robert Mugabe has resigned, and I guess he saw a lot of public outcry, public against him, his own party that has stood by him for decades, not standing with him anymore. And really it still seemed like after that statement on the weekend he would be defiant, but a few days later he has taken the hint perhaps and decided to voluntarily resign. We do have Sophie Mokoena up for us. Sophie, just tell us what you're seeing tonight.
Well, let me say, history is made after many years that Zimbabweans have known only one leader since independence. Today, a new era, a new leader is expected to take the reins, and I guess that is likely to happen tomorrow or Friday. As there were reports earlier on that Mnangagwa is on his way to Zimbabwe, I am sure that tomorrow Mnangagwa will be in Parliament. I'm sure Mnangagwa will be sworn in before Saturday. President Robert Mugabe has resigned. Earlier on, I can say last night, we got a tip-off when we wanted a live feed in Parliament. We were told that they will not broadcast the proceedings. And I said then, the broadcaster has a big story to do. I said President Mugabe is going. But indeed, it has happened. People are happy, people are ululating, people are running across the streets, young people are singing, elderly men and women are celebrating. It's a celebration. You heard earlier on, I spoke to different political parties. They were united on this one, that President Robert Mugabe must go.
Sophie, tomorrow the nation was preparing for mass action protests. Do you expect we'll now see a continuation of what we're seeing now, ongoing celebrations? All right, we're losing Sophie Mokoena, but we'll take you back to the streets of Harare as soon as we can. Talking about the successor, Emmerson Mnangagwa, the man that President Robert Mugabe fired, who then said he would come back and lead the party, and he did that in record time, didn't he?
I can tell you, you know what, I was old enough to remember when Robert Mugabe came back into Zimbabwe from Mozambique, and the reception that he got, and when he was elected president, it was this kind of euphoria. The whole country was united behind him. So it's quite dramatic to see the same excitement, the same euphoria 37 years later, but this time on his exit. I think he had many opportunities over time, perhaps to bow out gracefully, and we wouldn't be seeing scenes like this, people celebrating his exit, because for a long time he was seen as the people's hero, the liberation struggle hero, and for it to come to this is quite sad actually, because he spent 10 years in jail defending his country against the Ian Smith apartheid regime. And for his own people to come out on the streets in these numbers, you know, is going to be a poor legacy for him. But this is what it is, you know, 37 years, it's been difficult for certainly the last 10 to 15 years in the country for the average Zimbabwean, 90% unemployment, and also not to forget the charges of human rights abuses, people being jailed, harassment of journalists and so on and so forth. So these scenes that are expression of relief, expression of hope, expression of wanting a better start, a new beginning. And these celebrations are going to go on not just through the night. I suspect we'll be seeing these scenes for quite a long time now, for the next few days certainly. It's very hard to put into words some of this raw emotion that we're seeing. You know, it's almost like when a child or someone has been jailed and put in confinement, and then suddenly is released.
Yeah.
And this is what you're seeing now, these expressions, because people were not allowed to speak out against the government, speak out against the president. And for them to express themselves like this, it's so many things happening at the same time. I suspect the whole country, even in the rural areas, the news will be spreading now, and they'll be having their parties in their own little way.
Yeah, because the one thing we can say is there seems to be a sense of unity. There hasn't been Robert Mugabe's supporters coming out and clashing with protesters against him. There really does seem to be a united front, and this is the liberation leader, the hailed liberation leader, like you say, falling off the pedestal. And while those pictures are frozen, we'll keep trying to stay on these scenes of euphoria on the streets of the capital tonight. But just let's look at some of the reasons that his own party put forward for impeachment. The economy, like you say, a desperate situation, inflation not seen anywhere else in the world at that level. They spoke about him handing over decisions to his wife, Grace Mugabe, who was not supported by the veterans, not supported by the military. And then, of course, the fact that he had fired 2 deputies, one of them returning, who will now take his place.
Right, let's rejoin Pastor Evan Mawarire, who was very emotional a short while ago, and let's join him again on a clearer line. Pastor Evan,